Good evening, C3 parents. Yes, I am a few seconds early. I'm going to give people time to join us. I'm trying to adjust myself. Oh, sorry. We've been having an interesting time. Welcome. I'm your welcome. Welcome. Let's start there. Welcome. I'm Karien, your parenting coach, and tonight we are going to chat about, the times that we actually had parenting wins, and why it was successful and how it became successful and how we actually moved forward and the lessons we've learned out of the whole process. So, if you're new here, remember to hit the like button if you like the information that we're giving, and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And remember to ring the bell so you get notifications on when we are going live, so that you actually can fall in and join the conversation. So let's dive into a few successful, or at least one of our successful moments, and that was when our kids were fairly smaller. Now, I am going to talk next, not 2 weeks from now, I am going to talk about how to stop the nagging in the shop. But we consistently stuck to certain routines with our kids. And it's actually one of the more successful story, not more successful, one of these successful stories that we would like to share with you. But I'll deep dive into how we got our kids to be okay in the shops, how we stopped the nagging in our next conversation. So one of our success stories was the kids were about 2 years and 4 years old at the ideal nagging age. And we've stuck consistently with making our children part of the shopping experience. Yes, in the beginning it was difficult. Yes, in the beginning we had to remind them that we only sticking to the shopping list and various other things. But one of the things that really helped was making them part of the shopping experience instead of letting them feel like they're just onlookers and in this little glass bubble. We made them part of the shopping experience. And like I said, in 2 weeks' time, we will actually talk about exactly how we make kids part of the shopping experience. But what happened is we consistently done it over and over and over again. Does it mean that in the beginning we did not have any tantrums, that we did not have any nagging? Absolutely not. We did have moments where they struggled, where they wanted to, but we as parents also had to adjust how we approach shopping with the kids. That we need to think about how we look at things when kids give stuff to parents, when they go like, oh, look here, look at this chocolate or look at this toy, the parents' immediate reaction is, oh, but now they're going to want to buy it. So our immediate response is, no, we're not buying anything. I told you we're only sticking to the shopping list. And the first few times I approached it the same way, and it always ended up in a crying fest. And then just changing our approach when we went to the shops. Whenever they showed us something, we approached it as if they're showing us a point of interest. So we would look at it, we will fan about it, and then we'll say, okay, it's time for you to put it back on the shelf. Remember, we're only sticking to the shopping list. Yes, sometimes they would still grumble a bit, but they would put the stuff back. And we were at this checkout line, the Isle of Death at any but most shopping experience at the till, where you have the impulse buys. And on the ground level, on the floor level, there was these cheap toys, this little cars and stuff. And we timed the time that we went to the shops well as well. And we sat there, and the kids sat, and we waited in the queue, and they sat and they started playing with the toys. And when it was our turn to pay and put the groceries on the conveyor and go through the till, I turned around to the kids and said to them, okay, listen here, time to pack it away. We need to pay and we need to go. And they just packed it away and we left. And there was this older couple standing behind me, and they're like, oh, these are such well-behaved children. And in the back of my head, I'm like, you have no idea how long we took to get here. But it was such an amazing feeling. It was such an amazing moment to go, like, we've done this so many times where it would have ended up in tears. And we struck success. And it was so awesome to see the penny drop for them during that moment. And on the way to the car, I just looked at them and I just said to them, well, thank you for listening to me and thank you for making shopping easy. And they're like, oh, okay, you're welcome. And they got in the car and we went home. And they don't realize what a big parenting moment it was for me. I wanted to walk on air. It's like, yes, I've got this. I can take my kids to any shop. Yes, then COVID happened, and then my children became feral. Like most people's children, the moment they're finally allowed to be out in public, it feels like they forgot everything that we've taught them. But that was one of those moments where we looked at things that we repeated and done with them and actually successfully seeing it playing out. Now, with gentle parenting, that is the core of everything. A lot of times we approach parenting from the principle, I speak, you jump. I need immediate reaction. I need immediate interaction from you. And the reality is that kids are not robots. They're not little puppets or monkeys that we can manipulate to get out of them what we want. We need to consistently apply the same rules or the same method of doing things a couple of times to get them to start responding in the way that we would want them to do. Yes, it does sound like, oh, no, but you're training your child. There is a certain way. You are gently training your child. But what you're doing is you're teaching your child core values with repetition of things that they need to know about survival in society or surviving, in the big wild out there. And so that moment was one of those light bulb beautiful moments where I'm like, okay, we are doing this thing right. Because a lot of times we as gentle parents, sometimes we're like, oh, it would have been easier. I can't do this again. And when you go and look at the results over time, then you realize like, oh, okay, you know what, this is really working. So why is it successful? It is successful because of the repetition. The same way that we would not scold a child or spank a child when they start learning to speak or learning to walk, when they're starting to learn new skills, we cheer them on and we repeat things and we repeat the encouragement and we repeat the boundaries and we have we repeat the words constantly and we have these conversations with our kids. And what happens is it builds a neural pathway in the brain for it to stick, to become an internal compass and an internal locus. One of our other successful parenting moments was eldest was going through a phase and developmentally appropriate phase between age 3 and 7, where trying to play with his imagination, testing boundaries, trying to understand the world around him and what's the law of the land, what is flexible and movable boundaries and what is hardline things. And through this experimentation phase, the one day he took the tablet without permission. Now we had tablet time set arranged for after a play date. We don't like to have screen time before a play date, especially for our neurodivergent kid, because eldest will then really, really disengage from social interaction if he had screen time before a play date. And the rule is no screen time before a play date. And he snuck the tablet, and we had an arrangement that after the play date he would have his 20 or 30 minutes allotted time of screen time. And now he took it early, and I said to him, well, you took it early and it's 10 minutes before we need to go, so you can either choose to stay with the 10 minutes and when we need to go, we switch off, and when we come back, you don't get any screen time at all, or you switch it off now, and you can get 10 minutes when we get back, or you can have your half hour now, but then we don't go to the play date. And this was a play date that was very important. He really wanted to go to the play date, and he was very upset with me. Stomped his feet, typical, like not really impressed with what happened. Had waited him out and said to him, go think about it and then come back to me. And about 2 or 3 minutes later, he came back to me and he said he's got a different proposal. Um, he'll switch it off and he'll go to the play date. And he would like to, guys, now I've mixed it up. The choice that I gave is to switch it off now and then wait the 10 minutes and go to the play date, or not go to the play date at all. And then have his full thing. And then he came with a solution. Listen here, I would like to have screen time. And you told me that I disengage if I had screen time beforehand. I think I need to take the 10-minute break, but then can I have 10 minutes after we get back from the play date to finish whatever I'm doing? And I said to him, okay, fine, that could work. And we had the play date, no hassle, no fighting, no disengagement. He really made an effort to stay focused on his friends. When it was time to leave, we got in the car, and on the way back, he basically just chirped up from the back and said, Mom, you know what, I'm really sorry. I really messed up. I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have, gone behind your back. When we came home, gave him his 10 minutes, and he set the timer for the 10 minutes. When the 10 minutes was done, when he heard the timer, he finished his level, he switched off his tablet, and off we went. No hassle, no fighting, no crying, because I was expecting that I would have to renegotiate with him when it came to switch off the screen, which happens often with kids in general. They agree to a time limit, and then when the time limit hits, then they struggle to disengage, and they don't like it. And that day was a victory because he came with a solution, he worked with a solution, and I had his buy-in. And that is one of the other core things, is the repetition. The second thing is the buy-in, getting our kids buy-in when we work with things, when we problem solve, when we put boundaries, when we deal with life. We need our kids buy-in what we're doing. And so that was one of our successful moments that we truly enjoyed, seeing him grow and take accountability and responsibility for himself, and then coming with solutions, trying to solve or remedy the situation. Some of his solutions is out there, and obviously then we'll have to renegotiate and try and find a middle ground. But it's fun to see how their negotiation and their problem-solving skills actually develop by having that space to come back with a counter offer. There's this whole thing of we need to be consistent, but we don't need to be rigid. And that is one of the core things that makes parenting, or especially gentle parenting, so successful, is because we try not to be rigid. It is that flexibility, that ability to reevaluate, to sit with new information, to give space, and to acknowledge our kids as whole human beings that's trying to figure out this world. And as they're trying to make sense of things, they are going to push at certain boundaries, they're going to push at certain things that makes no sense to us whatsoever, but to them it makes the world of sense. So that was one of our proud moments. And then I think one of the moments, and if I tear up, sorry, guys, remember to hit that like button. Just as a reminder. Anyway, all right. So a lot of times I'm in the inner circle of a family space where they ask really deep, intense, personal questions about their parenting journey. And oftentimes the conversation goes to, how do I teach my child gratitude? Now, I'm actually planning once again on doing a proper video for really zoning in on what is gratitude, what our kids should be grateful for, and what is our responsibility, and why we struggle with our kids in the sense, like, how do we teach gratitude, and why do we struggle to teach our children gratitude? But we as a family, we teach the basics, like, yes, thank you, please, like general good manners. Having good manners doesn't necessarily mean you're gracious about it, or that are grateful about things. But we've never made a big fuss of, oh no, you need to swoon over what you've got, so we've always like, you need to please and thank you and all of that. We as a family also, when it comes to birthdays, take it upon ourselves to make a big fuss about a birthday. So we organize a birthday party, and we like really want to, and we enjoy going all out. We want to celebrate that person for that day, and we want to make them realize that you are special, and we really just want to celebrate them. But we've never expected our kids to turn around and say, oh, thank you, mom and dad, you're the best and you're so awesome, like just swooning around us because we did the birthday party. We were the ones that made the decision that we host birthday parties for the kids, and the extent to which we go is purely our choice. It's what we want to do as a gift to our kids. And it was eldest's 7th birthday party. Yes, it was his 7th birthday party. Busy putting up banners and balloons, and we had a jumping. We go usually not expensively, but we go all out. We as a family tend. I'm the extrovert, so I tend to to invite a lot of people, and try to invite the family. So we usually host parents and kids, and not just the kids, because to me a birthday is a family affair. And yeah, I've got various reasons, and I can get carried away why we as a family do birthdays that way. And eldest came outside, and he just looked at all the effort that we've been putting in, and he stood there in the door, and he looked at us, and he like completely, as if he like knocked out, his like mouth agape. And just understand, we've been doing this for him every year since his first birthday. So it's not as if it's the first time ever that we've been doing this. And he stood there, and he looked, and he's like, is all of this for me? And we're like, yes. And he just ran to me, and he hugged me, and he said, oh, thank you, Mom. And he ran to his dad, and he's like, thank you, Dad. This is really all for me? And we're like, yes, it's all for you. And he's like, oh, thank you. And he kept on saying thank you to the extent that I'm like, oh my word. So I stood there feeling very emotional, because I've never expected of him to react that way. And that honest gratitude, you can never teach a child. It develops as they become self-aware, as they become socially aware, as they become aware of the world around them and see how things start fitting together. That's when gratitude starts developing due to their exposure to the things. And that gratefulness, that sincerity in it, I don't even think that any birthday present we ever gave him had that kind of gratitude than that specific moment when the penny dropped for him, that, you know what, you are really that special, and this is us showing you that we love you. And for a very long time, I actually before that wondered, am I doing the right thing? Aren't we just making a mess of it? Will this kid ever be able to even fake gratitude? How are we going to teach our children to respect toys and money and everything that we expect our kids to be grateful for, when we don't force them to behave in a overly grateful way? And that day was the day that I realized, now we've been doing good. He's doing good. And our last success story is about youngest. Now, youngest went through a phase where anger has been really a big issue. His body goes immediately into fight. And yes, I've ended up with a black eye. Um, couldn't block him fast enough. And it took us about a year and a half, 2 years of just trying to stop him and redirecting, trying to catch the moment before he gets angry, apply everything that I'm teaching parents. And we applied and we applied and we applied. Sometimes we missed the mark and sometimes we got it. And, it was this mixed bag to a stage where in my head with the research, I knew it was still age appropriate. But in my head, I just felt like we are failing and I'm going to have this kid that beats other people when he's angry. And I worried. I honestly worried. And over time, with the repetition, I started seeing him here and there applying what we were teaching him about how to handle his anger. He still screams now, but he doesn't punch. And about 3 months or 4 months ago, no, we just I think it was in April when we just moved to the Netherlands, where everything is in flux, where everybody's emotions is everywhere, where everybody's tired. It's easier for him to not have that emotional control or that regulation. And he and his brother ended up in a fight, and I was expecting punching to happen. And when he calmed down, it didn't happen. And when he calmed down, he ran to me and he hugged me and he's like, "Mom, did you see? Did you see? I got so, so, so angry. I wanted to punch him and I wanted to kick him and I wanted to throw everything at him. But I didn't because I remembered and I took a break." And that was such an eye-opening moment, that the consistency of blocking and redirecting and talking him through different ways of managing his anger, of redirecting his body to release that anger, finally broke through when he needed it to be there. Because we need to understand that during moments of high emotional turmoil or high emotional arousal, it is very difficult for our children to access their upstairs brain. They work with the downstairs brain, the primal brain, the fight or flight brain, and it is very difficult for them. It doesn't matter. It takes time to practice how to redirect your anger into a healthy way, and that redirection also comes with emotional maturity and regulation, emotional regulation maturity. But I can't wait for the maturity to be there before I start teaching it. I had to teach it while it wasn't there yet, so that when it's there yet, that penny drops and it's done. And when the penny dropped and he was capable of doing it, the pride he took in it, the ownership that he took in it, and it was just amazing to see that he accomplished something that we as parents have been talking him through for a long time. No, he maybe hit a friend once or twice when they were fighting, when this fighting thing happened. He would gladly punch his brother or gladly try to punch me during the learning phase, when he started learning about this and trying to understand how to handle his body throughout this. But even his brother said, it's okay when he gets angry now. I don't need to block anything. I don't need to hide about anything. It is okay now. I'm okay now when he gets angry. Yes, do they start screaming and shouting at each other? Absolutely, they're kids. They still don't have remotely close to proper emotional regulation like we would expect from adults. But the victory is there, the success moments is there. And to be honest, yes, we are literally with the coaches. We're standing there proudly seeing them scoring life goals, and we go like, okay, we're doing a good job and we own it, but it's really theirs to own. It's really theirs to take pride in. It's really a big victory for them, because it's usually things that kids struggle with, that they've made it. They I'm super proud of them, and I'm glad that they've made it. Anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to end tonight's conversation. Thank you for joining us. Remember to hit that like button, to subscribe. 2 weeks time we're going to talk about shopping, how to stop the whining during shopping. So come and join the conversation. If you watch this after the recording, please type in #replay in the comment section. Every contribution, every reaction that you give to a video really helps out the channel, and we would like to get the word out there that that people got access to a gentle parenting coach, and that we're here. So please stay safe, and go hug your little ones tonight. Have a good one. Good night.